What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video, my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over some UFC fights for Saturday, September 25th, 2021. I'm going to show you both sides of each fight, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for some reason you're curious to know who I'm picking in these fights, you'll have to draw my Patreon with a picture always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks today. Let's go ahead and get to the fights. We're going to be looking at UFC 266, Velonsky versus Ortega. Just a heads up, I mispronounce people's names all the time. It's an extremely bad habit of mine. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to look at all 5 fights. I'm going to go through it. And I'm going to show you highlights of each side. On this side of the screen is what I call my daily numbers, date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. This side of the screen is what I call my game numbers, the way that it's structured for each fight. I have the event information right here. So the name of the event, it's 266, so I have 266 spelled out. See what that Gematria comes out to be. The sports arena, city, state, and then right here is the weight class for the fight. And then one fighter is right here, their name Gematria, their birthday to and from, their fight record, any win or losing streak that they're on, as well as their UFC record. In the middle is the head-to-head Gematria, and then at the bottom is another fighter, their name Gematria, to and from, their birthday, their overall record, and their UFC record. So this first fight we're going to talk about is Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. Jessica, this is her 30th birthday, the day of this fight. So let's start with her, and then we'll go over Cynthia. So we'll start with Jessica. What numbers would it take for Jessica to win, and then what numbers would it take for Cynthia to win? All right, so for Jessica to win this, pretty straight cut forward. Jessica Aldridge sums to 113 and 50. The number 113 is the 30th prime number. 113, 30th prime number. The number 50 sums to 30. And on her 30th birthday, she could become 22 and 9 for a UFC record, or not a UFC record, but a record overall for her career. She could become 22-9. 22-9 or 229 is the 50th prime number. So we know 50 sums to 30. We know her name sums to 50 and 113, the 30th prime number. She's turning 30 years old on this date. She could become 22 and 9 for a fight record, the 50th prime number. She can also become 13 and 7 for a UFC record, 137, against an opponent, Cynthia Calvillo, who was born on the 13th of July, 13/7. And then one last thing, she would get her 22nd win for her career. 22 sums to 39, and this will be a day with 39 date numerology on the Gregorian. So those are the numbers for Jessica. Oh, also Cynthia. If Cynthia loses, she would become 9-3 and 1 for a record. If you're looking for connections on the 9-3 and 1, or the 139, or the 193 connections, maybe look at my Abby Petito video. Also, she could become 6-3 and 1 for a UFC record with the loss. 631 is the 115th prime number. This fight is taking place in T-Mobile Arena, which sums to 115. It also sums to 74, and it's 74 days since Cynthia's birthday. But now let's get into the numbers that would look like for Cynthia to win this fight. Let's start with Jessica Aldridge. She would get her second loss in a row, and she would become 12 and 8 for a UFC record with the loss. I just talked about the number 22, and it's how it sums to 39. 39, date numerology on the Gregorian. She would get her second loss in a row. 39 sums to 128. 39, 128. So she can become 12 and 8 for a UFC record with the loss, as she gets her second loss in a row. Kind of a 2 thing going on there. Cynthia, it's 74 or a total span of 75 days since her birthday. 75, date numerology of 75 on the Gregorian. But the 74 is what's more interesting to me, as well as it being in T-Mobile Arena. 74, I should mark that dark blue. 74 spelt out. 74 spelt out sums to 55 for 1 today with 55 date numerology on the Gregorian, but it also sums to 127. 127. The reason why I think that's important is because Cynthia could become 7-2-1 for a UFC record with a win. 7-2-1 is just a reflection of 127. 74 days since her birthday, she could become 7-2-1. 74 sums to 127. 7-2-1 is just a reflection of 127. And then she can also become 10-2-1 for a record. 10-2-1 is the 172nd prime number. So we have this 127, 7-2-1, 1-7-2 kind of a connection that could go together. It's also her 10th UFC fight, and she can get her 10th win for her career as Jessica gets her 10th loss for her career. So 2 different ways you can split it. Her name also sums to 67 today with 19 date today the 19th day of the Hebrew New Year, 67 the 19th prime. So it's either going to be a birthday gift for Jessica with the 30 and the 50 connections, facing an opponent whose birthday's on 13/7, she becomes 13/7 UFC. Or it's a little bit more, not subtle, but misleading in a way, where we can get the 74. 74 sums to 127. She could become 7-2-1, which is a reflection of 127. And she could become 10-2-1, which is just the 172nd prime number, all anagrams of each other. And then she becomes 12-8 because 39 date numerology sums to 128. So hopefully this helps. Let's go on to the next one. We got Curtis Blades versus Jazino Rosenstruic. We're going to start with Curtis Blades. What's it going to look like for Curtis Blades to win, and then what's it going to look like for Jazino to win. So for Curtis Blades, if he was going to win this fight, it would be because it's the 19th day of the first month on the Hebrew Civil, like 191. This is his 19th fight. He can end his 1-fight losing streak, like 191. He could become 15-3 for a record in his career, as Jazino becomes 6-3, like 63 for a UFC record for his career. Oops, wrong application. 63 sums to 153, so maybe there's a connection there. You know, Jazino, it's the 193rd day of his 33-year-old age. He could get his 3rd loss for his career. He could get his 3rd loss for UFC 3-3. The 193, if you saw the other video, UFC 266 times Gabby Petito, you'll understand that connection, 193 and 33. You'll understand why those numbers are interesting. But yeah, he could get his 3rd loss, and he could get his 3rd UFC loss, kind of like a 3-3, as Curtis Blades sits on 3 UFC losses with a win, as he sits on 3 losses overall for his career with a win. So it could just be a 3-3 thing all the way around. He sits on 3 and 3, and then Jazino gets his 3rd in the UFC, as well as his 3rd overall for his career. Now let's look at Jazino. What would it take for Jazino to win this fight? Well, Curtis Blades is in a little bit of danger here with the numbers 193. Curtis Blades sums to 193. It's the 193rd day of Jazino's 33-year-old age. Curtis Blades could be in trouble. He could become 14-4 with a loss in his career. Why do I say that? 193 is the 44th prime number. 44 sums to 144, and that's why I say that. His name sums to 193. His opponent, 193rd day of his age, Curtis Blades. He can sit on 14 wins for his career in his 14th UFC fight, as he becomes 14-4 overall. 44 sums to 144, He'd get his 4th loss and his 4th UFC loss. So Curtis Blaydes I don't think has an overall clear path to victory. I think he might win, but there's numbers here for him to lose too. It's the 219th days, or it's 219, or a total span of 220 days since his 30-year-old birthday, 30-year-old age. The 219 is concerning for Curtis Blaydes because, again, this is his 19th fight. He could end his 1-fight losing streak on the 19th day of the first month, but at the same time, he could get his 2nd loss in a row. 219, 19-2. It's definitely there, visible for anybody to pick up on. Hebrew Civil does have 159 date numerology on it. This is the 15th fight for Jazino. This is his 9th UFC fight, 159. It's 192, or a total span of 193 days since his 33rd birthday. Again, 192, 219, 19th fight. He can get his 2nd loss in a row. So Blaydes definitely does have some numbers going against him. He has some numbers in his favor, and he has some numbers going against him. So definitely make your best decision on that one. I didn't see anything major for the 132 or the 12-3, so I don't have anything marked. Could Jazino get his 2nd win in a row? He definitely could. 15th fight, he can get his 2nd win in a row, like 152. Today does have 75 date numerology on the Gregorian. 75 sums to 152. I think that's it for right now. Yeah, we're gonna keep it going. I don't want to make this video too long for you guys. Alright, so Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler. This fight, I think, is the trickiest one on the board, in my opinion. Last night when I did my UFC 266 times Gabby Petito video, Nick Diaz and Robbie Lawler were basically even on the money line. I think they were both like minus 110s or minus 115s. But now, as I'm doing this video, Robbie Lawler has jumped up to a minus 140, and Nick Diaz is now an underdog at a plus 120. So something had happened overnight, money-wise, and the line has shifted slightly more in Robbie Lawler's favor. I can see the numbers. I can see the numbers for Robert. I can see the numbers for Robbie Lawler, but I can also see the numbers for Nick Diaz. This is a very tough one. So let's start with Nick Diaz, and then we'll go over Robbie Lawler. So if Nick Diaz is going to win this fight, it's going to be because this fight is in Las Vegas. Las Vegas sums to 86. It's because it's on the 19th day of the Hebrew New Year. 19 sums to 86. And Nick Diaz can become 8-6 for a UFC record with the win, like 86. It's the 190th day of Robbie Lawler's age, and 190 is the 19th triangular number, so that could support the 86 or the 86 for Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz, this is the 55th day of his age, today with 55 date numerology on the Gregorian. He can defeat Robbie twice and become 2-0 head-to-head against Robbie, like 20. 20 sums to 55. And it's the 55th day of his age. So there's that. Diaz versus Lawler sums to 152, which is kind of interesting. 75 date numerology, 75 sums to 152 and 53. Diaz versus Lawler, 152 and 53. But it also sums to 172, and this would play in favor for Nick Diaz, because Nick, he can get his 27th win for his career. 27 sums to 172, and it also sums to 53. So Diaz versus Lawler, 53, 172. Nick Diaz can get his 27th win for his career, 53, 172. And then mathematically speaking, 53 is the 16th prime number, and Robbie Lawler would get his 16th loss for his career. So those would be the numbers for Nick Diaz. Oops, dang thing. Those would be the numbers for Nick Diaz to win this fight. What would be the numbers for Robbie Lawler to win this fight? Well, Nick Diaz, his name sums to 77, and he could become 7-7 for a UFC record with a loss. If we spell that out, 77, it sums to 149. And Robbie Lawler can become 14-9 for a UFC record with a win as he gets his 29th win for his career. 29 also sums to 149. And something about 29 mathematically, it's the 10th prime number, and Nick Diaz would be getting his 10th loss. So I can actually probably mark that a light blue. See how tricky that is? Good numbers for Nick, but good numbers for Robbie as well. Very tricky. He can even the score 11-1-1. I didn't see anything for the 11s. It is his 45th fight. It is the 19th day of the 7th month on the Hebrew religious. 197, the 45th prime number. I think that was it. Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to this 53-172 connection for the 27, Nick Diaz, the 86 connection, being in Las Vegas, 86, 19th day of the Hebrew, 19 something to 86, 2-0, like 20, sums to 55, 55th day of his age, and then the 16 here. But then you also have this 149, the 77, Nick Diaz sums to 77, 29 sums to 149. In favor for Robbie. So this one's definitely a tricky one. I say this one's the trickiest one on the board in my opinion. Valentina Shivinko versus Lauren Murphy. Valentina is such a major favorite, but I can find numbers for Lauren. But let's start with Valentina. Valentina, she can get a 22nd win for her career. 22 sums to 39. And it being a day with 39, a date numerology on the Gregorian. She can get her 8th win in a row for her career. It is the 19th day of the Hebrew New Year. 19 is the 8th prime number. Today does have 55 date numerology on the Gregorian, as well as 75 date numerology on the Gregorian, and 75 sums to 55. Lauren Murphy can get her 5th loss for her career as she ends her 5-fight win streak, becoming 7-5, like 75 for a UFC record with a loss. Her name, Lauren Murphy, sums to 62, and this is the 61st day of her current 38-year-old age. 62 sums to 38. And 61. It's the 61st day of her 38-year-old age. Her name sums to 62. 62 also sums to 155, and she could become 15-5 for a record in her career with a loss. So those would be the numbers for Valentina to win. For Lauren Murphy to win this fight, I would say, you know, it would come down to 75 potentially not becoming 7-5, but it could play in her favor because 75 sums to 152 and 53. 53 is the 16th prime number. Her name sums to 152, and she can get her 16th win for her career. 16 is just a reflection of 61, it being the 61st day of her age. What else? It is 163, or total span of 164 days till Valentina's next birthday, and Lauren could become 16-4 for a fight record with the win. Today does have 21 date numerology on the Gregorian. Valentina doesn't have to get her 22nd win. She could sit on 21 wins for her career with a loss. If Lauren were to win, she would get her 6th win in a row, as Valentina ends her 7-fight win streak, kind of like 6-7 or 67. 67 is the 19th prime number, it being the 19th day of the Hebrew New Year. So I would say those are the numbers most likely for Lauren if she were to pull off this, I think, the biggest upset on the entire card. Let's see, minus 1500. Yeah, so if somehow she pulled a magic rabbit out of her hat, Lauren, it would be the biggest upset on the entire card, pay-per-view or non-pay-per-view. But those are the numbers for it. Let's keep it going to the main events. Alexander Velonsky, Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. Let's start with Alexander, what the numbers look like for him to win, and then we'll go with Brian and see what numbers look like for him to win. For Alexander, he can get his 23rd win for his career today, or in this fight. 23 sums to 55, and 53. Today was 75 date numerology, 75 sums to 53 and 55. But we also have 55 date numerology on the Gregorian as well. We have 21 date numerology on the Gregorian. He could become 23 and 1 for a fight record. 23-1 mathematically is the 21st triangular number. And he can get his 20th win in a row for his career. 20 sums to 55. We just talked about that number. Brian Ortega, it's 216 or a total span of 217 days since his 30th birthday, focusing on the 216 part. This is a featherweight fight. Featherweight sums to 72 and 216, and 216 days since his birthday, he could become 7-2 in a featherweight fight for a UFC record with a loss. He can also become 15-2 for a fight record in his career with a loss. Today was 75 date numerology on the Gregorian, 75 sums to 152. I think that's it for this side. So let's look at Brian Ortega. What are the numbers for Brian Ortega to win this fight? Well, Alexander, if he were to lose, he would become 22-2 for a fight record in his career. Emphasis on the 22 part, because 22 sums to 39. And it is a day with 39 date numerology on the Gregorian. He can get his second loss for his career, just a 2-2-2 pattern all the way across the board. He would get his he would end his 19 fight winning streak on the 361st day, or 361 days since his birthday. It's 361, or a total span of 362 days since his birthday. He can end his 19 fight win streak on the 361 days since his birthday. 361 mathematically, I'm sure you already know, is a square root, has a square root of 19. It being the 19th day of the Hebrew Civil New Year. With that being said, if that were to happen, Brian Ortega, he can get his 16th win for his fight record or his career, it being 75 date numerology, 75 sums to 53, 53 the 16th prime number. What else? Brian Ortega, he could become 8-1 for a UFC record with the win. 81 sums to 108, 54, and 135. Just like 55 sums to 108, 54, 135. So he could become 8-1 like 81. What else? Yeah, he could become 22-2 for a record as Brian Ortega gets his second win in a row. So just this whole two pattern, 2-2-2-2 thing going on. There's potential there. Volkanovski versus Ortega sums to 111. Brian Ortega can sit on one loss. Alexander can get his first UFC loss. Brian can sit on one UFC loss. Maybe there's something there. And then I think that's about it that I've found so far. Let's type in 222 real quick. 222. 222, that's what I was thinking. Sums to 216. So this 216 could play against Brian Ortega, or it could be in favor. 216 days since his birthday. It being featherweight, 72, 216. 216 days since his birthday, he could become 7-2. But at the same time, 222 sums to 216. And Alexander could just become 22-2 for a fight record, 216 days since his opponent's birthday. So there's that. And then I think that's it. Let me type in 91 really quick. That's what I was thinking too, the 122. 91 sums to 122. Brian Ortega, his birthday is 2/21, which is just a reflection of 122, and he was born in the year 91. Alexander could become 9-1 for a UFC record. There's potential there. All right, so that's all 5 fights for the pay-per-view event. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you insight for both fighters on each fight. And I wish you guys the best of luck on your picks. And hopefully this video helped, like I said. And thank you for watching. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Thanks, guys.